Alright, so I know I need to, like, delete all of my information or something like that just to get, okay. I know I need to delete, like, everything just to get that wind leaf, but I don't think I'm going to do that immediately right now. God, I don't even want to use that gun. I don't know. That is just... This is just... I need something, like, hella relaxing after all that. And unfortunately, I only play roguelikes. Oh, there we go. Here we go. This is what I needed. This is what I need. So, for frame of reference, and, you know, welcome back to Cavern Kings. Frame of reference for any of you that do not follow my Darkest Dungeon, and actually, hell, this is probably going to come out beforehand. I just had quite possibly the worst string of runs you can possibly have in that game. It's atrocious. It's real fucking bad. I bet all of my money on one run, and we lost somebody. We lost everything in one fight. Like, that was just... Ugh. Ugh. I can come back from it. I can. But... Anyway. Let's not talk about that game. I'm gonna live in a state of denial for a little bit while we relax with, quite possibly our favorite combo you can have in Cavern Kings. Specifically, Drill Cannon and Yoji. Pretty much just Yoji with a not shit gun. This is a... Ow. This is a very fun combo. Assuming that I live, you know... Oh, hey, you do actually heal... You do heal just a little bit. Naturally, in this game. It's just not much. Oh, that's interesting. Please, music, keep playing. Please, keep playing. Okay. Oh, ow. Unfortunately, I'm trying to pay attention to the chat, too, because, unfortunately, while focused on, Darkest Dungeon, you don't really get the chance to do a whole lot else. Oh, right, the sword I'll actually dig through. Okay, well, that's not the end of the world. But, let's see. That was rough. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to stop talking about it. I was like, enough dwelling on the problems. Live in a state of denial. I'm failing at it. I'm just in a... please don't kill me. Yeah, the music stopped. Well, the music stopped. Okay. There we've got the music. I was getting, like, kind of weirdly stressed out again, and I was like, why? You know, this night is already doing pretty poorly for me. Wait, what's going on now? Turns out, music just was not playing. I don't know. Sometimes YouTube playlists are just not the greatest. Oh, I'll deal with it, but god damn, that was rough. I really need to beat those bosses so I can start doing earlier stuff. It's just, god. I got bad advice left and right. And I don't want to restart anything ever. Like, I am very pig-headed. I really don't like... I don't like do-overs. I don't like giving up. I don't like any of that business. I like just, you know, forging on ahead and having fun with it and all that kind of business. But, man, sometimes there's just no winning. Actually, my Let's Play on XCOM was starting to feel like that. Like, you know, maybe I'd be able to win it, but I'd run out of countries first. I know, hard to tell on that one. And, again, it's something that I'd like to, like, come back to. But I guess the reason why I like roguelikes so much is because you lose, that's it. You know, you've lost, you learn from it, you start back up again. Games like XCOM, games like Darkest Dungeon, you lose, it sucks. Because those games actually, like, there's a metagame apart from, you know, just the dungeon crawl. Or the, you know, mission or whatever. You know, there's a metagame to it. And if you're not truly wise with your metagame, you just run into serious issues. And that... I don't know. Like, games with a really heavy metagame. It's like if you were playing Rogue Legacy and you could somehow screw yourself over. Somewhere over the course of the run. Where, like, there's just no coming back from it. That would be really bad game design. And, like, I can understand games like Darkest Dungeon and XCOM being incredibly, you know, unforgiving for a good reason. Like, I love the challenge. It's cool. I really enjoy it. But at the same time, if you can sink an entire game that you've, you know, spent X amount of time. Oh, thank you. That you've sung, you know, X amount of time, you know, just going through and, like, having to restart it because, say, you ran out of money. That just, it's not cool. And at the same time, it's like, for Cavern Kings, here I can die. I actually lose way more often in Cavern Kings than I lose in... I lose way more often in Cavern Kings Vergante than I lose in... Oh, shoot, that's a silver box there. It's also TNT. Let's get that out of the way before anything else happens. Okay. Whew. That was kind of lucky. Okay, but yeah, I lose way more often in these games. But I don't mind much. Why? And I think the sheer answer is like some amount of expectation and some amount of chance. So for example, in not Cavern Kings, in Darkest Dungeon, in XCOM, critical hits, pretty common RPG mechanic, right? And ow. And so with critical hits, usually it's the player that does the crits. It's very rarely that it's very rare that that you'll get crit yourself. And usually there's a lot of ways of avoiding it. And so it feels inherently unfair when you get crit in a game, even though you're critting left and right. Because you can't predict that kind of thing. And so usually a lot of like engagements in RPGs and whatnot are purely about, you know, weighing the math. And it's very rare that like randomness is what kills you. Whereas in this game, you know, there are random things that are going to blow me up, and it's offended me from time to time, but I don't think it affects me as much as internet. But like on my, I don't know. I think I'm just affected so much just because the disappointment and the like stress of failure is so much higher when the expectation is that, you know, I have a decent chance of winning, and that's such an interesting thing for me, and I find it fascinating, but at the same time, I don't know. Anyway, I've been asked, what's my favorite food? Huh. That's an interesting question. I haven't really thought about it. It's like, what's your favorite game? Hell if I know half the time. Favorite food. My favorite food used to be steak and potatoes. Super, super generic American answer there. But then again, I'm a country boy at heart. Slash, you know, born out in the country, whatever. Oh, please. Please. Fuck. Oh, right, we're underwater. No, 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 damn it. Okay, so steak and potatoes was like my old answer. No, country fried steak fun fact, country fried steak is a, oh, sweet. Country fried steak is a southern country type food. It's not a Midwest thing. Or, not a Midwest thing. It's not a Minnesota thing. I'm a Minnesota boy, specifically. We had sheep, we had cows, we had lots and lots of corn. But fried food wasn't really much of a thing in Minnesota. It really still isn't. You more run into stuff like, mayonnaise in a salad, whatever that's called. And like really weird stinky fish dishes that give me food poisoning. That's the kind of stuff that, you know, I have. But so I really like, you know, mashed potatoes, steak. Really didn't have much for like gravy. I usually would just be butter and salt, actually, on either. And to this day, that's still one of those things that I really like coming back to eat. But I can't say it's my favorite food anymore. Actually, weirdly enough, sub sandwiches are pretty damn good if made by the right place. Like, I really like subs. Burritos too. But again, these are like kind of favorite foods to eat. But my like hands down favorite food, actually, pad thai. So as a kid, I never really ate a whole lot of, yeah, good pizza is pretty good too. Though the problem is, good pizza is hard to find. Domino's has actually started getting a lot better. And I will not buy Papa John's anymore because I think the CEO is a jackass. But like, I would say pad thai purely because, so when I was a kid, I really didn't eat a whole lot of like foreign food, period. And I think to a certain point, my parents just started assuming I would refuse to eat any kind of like new foods. And somewhere along the way, I think when I went to college, I was like, all right, you know, we've got like Asian food and whatnot. Let's try it. And my fiance lives directly across from a Thai restaurant. The best damn Thai food I've ever had. At least at the time, you know, best foreign food I'd ever had. And so we would frequently go out for either Thai food or Indian food. Oh shoot, there's actually a box up there. No, I don't think I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna get it. But so we'd frequently go out for Indian food specifically. Like, I really like Indian food. The problem is, like, I always feel a little bit guilty for eating, especially like Americanized Indian food, because it's not super healthy in comparison. Naan can be really good, but naan can be really hit and miss. I also really like makhni. If you ever go to an Indian restaurant and they have chicken makhni or lamb makhni, ooh, lamb makhni is amazing, but really expensive because, I mean, go figure, lamb. But so, pad thai. Story about pad thai. I might as well talk about like more story stuff. I talked about the prince before on Cavern Kings. This time, I'm going to talk about Budapest. Budapest and Croatian stuff. So for those of you that haven't heard me talk about this before, I have like no real useful items right now. So my junior year of college, I got to study abroad in Croatia. The college I went to had a campus in Dubrovnik, and if you're ever in Croatia or the area and you have the chance to go, I highly recommend going to Dubrovnik. It's a very pretty city. It's right on the ocean, and it's like super touristy, but it's like super inexpensive too, assuming you know where to go. But so, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the Mole's Orchid. Ah, got it. Okay. But it's super touristy and very tourist friendly. It's best to go like during the spring, if possible, before all of the tourists show up, and they usually show up sometime around like April, late April, I think it is. Some show up a little bit earlier, but it's mostly like late April. So if you can get there around like June, even March, actually. Why did I say June? Yeah, March, early April, pretty good time. But so, like, the place is really pretty. The weather is great. Like, if you've ever been to Southern California, it's just gorgeous. We got a little bit unlucky. We actually showed up during monsoon season, and it was the worst rain they have ever had, at least in years. They also had, like, snow beforehand, and that country does not snow there. Everything's kind of Slavic. It used to be like a Turkish country, but it used to be, and then like after Turkish, well, it was part of like Yugoslavia, before that all fell apart. And so it's just kind of an interesting place. It almost feels like if you took like the US in the 80s and like just took it as a time capsule and then, you know, let people go to it, that would pretty much be Dubrovnik. The problem is, like, geographically it's super isolated, so they don't have a whole lot of like modern tech, if that makes sense. So you run into like paid telephones are like common there. Cell phones aren't. Like, cell phone reception was kind of wonky. I guess a lot of people had cell phones there, but there was still just a lot of stuff that you generally would not see. And, like, a lot of weird cultural stuff, too. So, like, you know how, like, in the US now, people are, like, super concerned about being out at night, you know, rapists and violence and whatnot, and, you know, everybody's trying to, like, safety-proof everything for kids? Freaking Dubrovnik just does not give a shit. We showed up there, and they're like, okay, you know, so we have health insurance for you, but it really doesn't do much. Like, we'll try and we'll make sure that you're healthy. But, yeah, don't do anything stupid, because we'll just send you back to America, because we can't deal with you. We can't deal with you here. I really wanted to get that box. Nuts. Oh, I got it. Yes. I don't know how I got it, but I got it. And we get, the shrooms. Okay, those saw blades are concerning, but not as long as I don't knock myself into them. I think we'll be fine. Okay. There we go. Heart of Belial. Would rather have the blood of the Dracula's blood, but it hasn't been particularly frequently. It hasn't dropped particularly frequently. Okay, and I also promised I'd start showing off my items a little bit more often. But so yeah, they had some like weird things, and like overall, it was actually a very nice place to be, and you know, not very dangerous, unless of course you drove like 20 miles east. At which point, landmines. There were a lot of landmines, which is kind of an interesting place to see. Because you could never really get close. There were no roads that went that direction, because, like, who the hell wants to put a road next to a bunch of landmines? But you could climb to the top of a mountain and actually see where all the landmines were. And it was just kind of like, okay, well, this is fascinating. There's actually a really cool, like, video on Vimeo. I saw a couple of years ago, actually. I think even before going to Croatia. About a guy that was designing, like, super cheap solutions on how to get rid of all of the landmines in that area. And I thought it was really neat. Of course, it's like super dark that there are even landmines in an area. And you can actually still see a little bit of like war damage from, I guess most people don't know about it. But so when Yugoslavia dissolved, they had like a great leader, kind of like effectively Mao Zedong, Stalin. He was around during that era. A little bit later, like he was kind of there, but he wasn't like. It was like it was definitely during the Red Scare, but it's mostly during like Reformation era after the U.S. was like super concerned about communists and stuff. But so everybody loved him in like all of Yugoslavia. Problem is ow, 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 ooh, 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 ooh. Problem is immediately after he dies, because I think they tried to assassinate him like a bunch of times. But so after he dies, and I think he died of like old age or cancer or something, you know, not unnatural causes. Like dude was a tank apparently and really badass. But so after he dies, the problem with Yugoslavia was made up of a bunch of disparate communities to begin with. So it was Croatia, which was predominantly Christian, but had some amount of a Muslim population. Bosnia, which is 50% Christian, 50% Muslim, and they had like some serious separation issues. And just each section had all sorts of... They were wildly different countries. It's kind of like if you had Mexico, Canada, and the US as like one place, but they secretly hated each other. Whereas currently, everybody just makes fun of Canada and ignores the social issues in Mexico. Sounds about right. But so, like, I can't think of a really good example of, like, common countries that would fit together in this way. I mean, I guess some of the states hate each other. I guess the easiest way to put it would be, like, you know, U.S. pre-Civil War, where, like, the North hated the South and vice versa. Or at least, you know, had severe social issues with each other. Except for, what ends up happening is, so you take Bosnia, which has... Oh, hey ZB Killer, how's it going? And for any of the you guys that may be in, like, may actually know about this and have opinions, I'm sorry if I end up getting any of these facts wrong. I'm trying to give this as, like, unbiased as possible. But so the problem is you run into countries like Serbia. Serbia has really good industry in comparison to other parts of old Yugoslavia. So Serbia was like kind of the backbone of Yugoslavia at the time. And so when Yugoslavia was going, they're always a little bit kind of pissed at Bosnia specifically. Because Bosnia really didn't pull its own weight. Like, Bosnia is super poor. All the time. Still poor. Still very poor. Comparatively. It still has, you know, a decent amount of money, but it's definitely not, like, definitely not enough to truly be, like, an economic power. Okay, not gonna kill myself here. At least would like to not do so. But so, Serbia, the moment Yugoslavia, well, not the moment, this kind of went on in the 90s. But so, Serbia, post-Yugoslavia, actually invades Bosnia and Croatia and some other things. And, like, effectively, everybody kind of chose sides, and it was bad. And then it kind of got worse. And so some of the worst hate crimes of, like, the past, you know, half century were committed in this very, very small area that used to be Yugoslavia, because it was eugenics, it was, you know, genocide. It was really quite bad. And so, like, I think it was Serbia, what they did, I think it was Serbia. Serbia had a bunch of snipers and mortars perched at the top of the mountain, right above Dubrovnik. And they were just shelling people and sniping people. Anyone. And so my guide... Oh, night, Soliam. My guide, she was... well, not my guide, my, like, culture teacher was... I think it was my culture teacher. Yeah. It was, like, a young teen, like, 13, I think it was going on. And, like, I think this was 92 when it was going on, so I was, like, 2 years old. She was out getting water, and a sniper was just sniping at her feet. Not to hit her, but purely for amusement. And she, like, just remembers being sniped at so vividly. And, like, you can actually go to the city and still see mortar damage. In Bosnia, it's even worse. They actually have buildings that are just, like, absolutely roped off, because they still have live landmines in them. It's ridiculous. But, so, kind of history lesson for the area. I don't exactly know how it resolved, but essentially it was bad. So you can actually see, like, cool stuff as a result of that. Even if it's, like, super dark when you're, like, listening to the tour guides. It's like, oh, you mean you were there. Not like this happened 10 decades ago or something silly like that. Like, you can go to Civil War reenactments, and it's been enough time that, you know, people don't remember, like, the horror of it. Well, these are like, live recountings of all the shit went on, which is a really interesting experience, but also just like, I'm here to look at the pretty sights, and you're telling me about this used to be your childhood home. Oh boy. Oh. And I know that sounds like horribly insensitive, but it's ridiculous, and it's kind of interesting. You know, in the US, specifically me, I spend almost no time with contact with, like, any kind of foreign conflict, even though pretty much for my entire life, the US has been at war with somebody. Either the Gulf War or, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan. And, man, I sound like a downer, but at least I'm not talking about Darkest Dungeon, so I guess there's that. Oh, no. No. Okay, come on. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Whew. But, so it was, like, really interesting actually having the culture shock of, like, oh, you know, this stuff actually happens today. Because, like, as an American, even though we've been at war, apart from, like, me knowing soldiers and, in college, post-college, high school, whatever, wow, I got knocked all over the place. Glad I had my shield, that probably would have hurt. But so, apart from, like, knowing these people from time to time, there's really, like, no real interaction with these kinds of horrors. So it was, like, really interesting being over there. But so, I was in Croatia a couple months, and we got the ability, we got the ability to travel a little bit, and that kind of snafu'd a little bit, but I'll talk about that, assuming this run goes on long enough, otherwise I'll do that in another video. But so we got lucky enough to be able to travel a little bit. I mean, first and foremost, Croatia did not have a particularly rigorous school system, which was kind of nice. But so, we could pretty much just kind of screw around and get A's. It was real easy. Like, it was easier than high school easy being over there, which made me feel kind of bad, because I was, like, I don't want to, like, shit on anybody else's education, but when the teacher, out of pity, lets students cheat off of my test, and, like, allows it, that's usually a pretty sad thing. But, so, oh, you know what? I'm in trouble. Okay. I need to prioritize doing that way sooner. That was kind of fun, though. Wow, I'm cracking my voice a little bit. I've been talking for way too long. I also had really salty chili earlier, which is not... Oh, my shield explodes. That's interesting. So that's what knocks me around. But so, we got the ability to travel, and like, we were just gone for a week. No problem, who cares? We just brought our homework with us. Not like we had any. And so while we were traveling, so what happened was we had a school trip up to the capital of Zagreb. So for frame of reference, Croatia is an incredibly mountainous coastal country. So if you've ever been to Italy, it's kind of similar. They mirror each other in a lot of ways. It's just north of Greece. For whatever reason, not a whole lot of people go there, even though it's a great vacation spot. But so, yeah, we had, like, zero reason to, like, stick around. So, so what my teacher did was we took a weekend trip up to Zagreb, which was awesome, because capital of Croatia, Zagreb, is kind of cool. It's kind of like if you took the really, like, neat parts of Boston and took out a lot of the, like, kind of grime, because it was a much smaller city. You kind of got that. Like, it used to be an industry. Shoot, I'm just getting hammered here. It has a lot of eyeball shots. Oh, wow. Also, my drills are amazingly large. But so we took a weekend trip up to Zagreb. I'm just gonna get out of here. This is too concerning. Hello. So weekend trip up to Zagreb, and what I did in preparation for this was I actually bought train tickets to, not Bosnia, to Budapest, which was awesome. I was originally trying to decide if I wanted to go to Budapest. Holy crap! What even? He teleported on me. But I was trying to decide if I wanted to go to, not Budapest, what's the other one? It starts with a V. Not Venice. I don't remember. I do not do as much damage as I thought I did. Oh well, not the end of the world. But, jeez, he is not dying fast. Oh, but so we go up to Budapest, and it's like a 6-hour train ride there, and it's actually one of the prettiest train rides I've ever been on, and I take a lot of trains, because I really like trains. Yeah, Vienna, Austria versus Hungary, because I was in Hungary. I think I was in, yeah, Budapest and Hungary. Shit. I never went to geography in school. Never actually got the chance. So I have, like, no idea where anything is. I just use Google Maps. Typical American. Anyway, wow, my drills are massive. I want to keep getting clusters of iron. I've got 4 of them. Wow. Of, like, most of the items I've recently gained, most of them were clusters of iron. That's great, actually. All right, let's get this. But so, instead of going to Vienna, I originally asked one of my friends, it's like, hey, was Vienna fun? And she never responded to me, so I was like, all right, well, fuck that. Let's go to Budapest, see how it goes. And it was awesome. So, again, frame of reference, Hungary is a Slavic nation, so the people there are massive. Like, you know how, like, there's the stereotype of, like, Russians being tall? Hungarians are tall and broad, and I felt very small. And I'm not a small American dude. I'm 180 pounds, 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in there. So, like, I'm not the biggest American ever. Like, there are a lot of people that are going to be taller than me in life, like my brother. But so, we go to Hungary, and it was a 6-hour train ride to, oh, hello, boxing glove. 6-hour train ride to Budapest from Zagreb, which is awesome. And unfortunately, like, the train system over there is super inefficient. So, like, as a foreigner, I had no idea what I was doing. In the US, at least, it's, like, super efficient and online, and, like, you can print your tickets and whatever. No, I actually had to hire a courier to bring me my ticket in advance. Ah, shit. Really? God damn it. How am I still alive? How am I still alive? Never mind. That was too much. More Yoji, because Yoji I don't have to worry about melee weapons. But so, I actually had to hire a courier to get my ticket. And so, to get up to Zagreb, so we could even go to... let's switch this around for a second. So, to even go to Zagreb, it was I want to say like a 10, 12-hour drive split up over 2 days. And... yeah, it was ridiculous. My luck is just awful. I feel like I should just go play something that's, like, super casual tonight. You know what? I could play Torchlight. That'd be nice and relaxing. After I tell these stories, though. I want to finish the Budapest story. So, I'm getting all... Yeah, you know what? This will work. I'm getting ahead of myself left and right. So, to get to Zagreb, before we even go to Budapest, it's a 12-hour bus ride, and we have 16 students plus like 4 adults, crammed into a small bus. It's kind of like, you know, if you ever see like old people's homes, they have like those buses that you can drive people around. Oh, not anxious. Kind of one of those buses. Driven by a Croatian. Croatian can't speak any English. Alright, no big deal. Drives like a maniac. So, like, I mentioned that, you know, Bosnia was super mountainous. Well, Croatia's super mountainous too along the coast. So, all of the roads are like super twisty-turny, and, well, if you know, kind of miss your turn, or you, like, take a curve too hard, you're going careening into the ocean, which would suck. It was very pretty, but kind of terrifying when the driver, you know, drives like a Bostonian during rush hour. And like, I am currently living in Boston. I know pretty bad driving. This was worse than pretty bad driving. It was scary. And like, I understand like they know the terrain, but at the same time, it's still not smart to drive, you know, I want to say 90 to 100 kilometers an hour? No, I think it was closer to like 120, 130. Like, it was really fast for a straightaway, much less a curvy mountain road. But you know what? You drove like that. Now, the other reason why I don't have a lot of confidence in this dude is the bus was hot. Now, this was mid-spring, mid to late spring in Croatia. So, like, April. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, it was, like, late April. And, it was, like, it was ridiculously fast. And it was pretty hot out. Like, really hot out. Like, I don't know. I guess it was only, like, 80 degrees or something like that. But it was hot. And, so say you're in a car with no air conditioning, with 16 people in there, all car sick because the driver's a maniac, and, you know, motion sickness is a bitch. And, by the way, there's no, like, there's no AC. It's just not there. Romania and crazy driving. Maybe. But so, there was no air conditioning in this bus. None. And, one thing I haven't mentioned, and I'm generally pretty, like, I try and stay pretty mum about my friends, in terms of, like, not bad-mouthing them. But, so we had this one guy called Joe. Joe was a cool dude. Loved him to death. Nice guy. Joe never showered. And when he did shower, it was gross. It's like you took a swamp and washed it in a sink. Except for that sink was the shower. And I never wore my glasses into the shower. So I would discover that this shower was squelching. And I didn't know why. Until I had to go get my glasses and realize there was a thin layer of person on the bottom of the shower. Sick enough yet? Good, because I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But, so, poor Joe. Poor Joe. Didn't wash. Did not shower in preparation for this trip. He was already pretty bad. It was, yeah, no, he was worse than Shrek. Shrek at least had, personality. Layers? I don't know. He wasn't sweating as much. I don't think I ever saw anything about Shrek sweating. Because he did fart, though. But so, the bus had just enough space so one person could sit by themselves. Joe did not sit by himself. Joe, I don't think, over the course of the entirety of ever realized that he smells downright awful. And we told him to do laundry, we told him to take more showers. He never realized that we could smell him, and it was horrifying. So, well, he was a cool dude, great dude. He was also monstrously overweight at the time, compared to everybody else. I mean, like 300 pounds, but still, 300 pounds for a dude that's like 5'6", that's not healthy. Regardless of what's going on. And so, big guy, smelly guy, overall just kind of bad situation to be in. Stick him on a bus, no AC, with the rest of us car sick. It was bad. I took one whiff of him and, I didn't throw up. Poor dude sitting next to him, stopped eating for the remainder of the trip. And actually came back to us later, and was like, he told us he was so glad that we went to, Budapest, because that meant he got to sit by himself on the way back. But it was bad. Fun fact. So, the AC was not on. The heat was on. I didn't hear about this until after we got back, but halfway through them on the return trip, everybody's even worse because the temperature had gone up. Well, we were up in Zagreb, and so everybody starts coming back, and you know, myself and Shell are off in Budapest. So the bus is a little bit lighter. Everybody's thinking, oh, it's like, all right, you know, get some room to maneuver. Nope. That bus was well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was bad. Like, eventually the driver was contemplating just, like, kicking everybody out, telling them to get a hotel, and driving him back, himself back, and sending, like, a replacement bus, or just leaving them alone. It was bad. Nope. Turns out, after a certain point, he looks at it, and then asks our guide something. Now, the bus is in English. It was probably like German made or something. I don't know, but it had the entire like dash labeled in English. What does this mean? It means heat. He quickly flips the switch from heat to cold. Suddenly the bus goes from 100 degrees to 95 degrees to 90 degrees. All the way down to a cool 60-something. At which point everybody started freezing, but they were totally okay with it because it was not terribly stifling in there anymore and people didn't feel like dying. But yeah, so bus drive up there was crazy. Train ride to Budapest, super relaxing. It was nice. We actually had space to ourselves. It was like old style train cars, so you like faced the other people on the train. It was cool. I liked it. It was quaint. It was really slow. Like, I was really hoping I'd get to ride on a European lightning rail type deal. Nope. Those don't exist in Croatia, Bosnia, Budapest, anything like that. Especially Croatia, because it's just too mountainous. It's not feasible to have trains in the area. Which is super depressing. But so crazy bus ride up aside. We get to Bosnia. Not Bosnia. We get to Budapest. And it's really cool. Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize this. I was a bit spoiled by Croatia. Turns out Hungarians really don't learn English. There's no, like, immersion program. So, like, I think some of the younger people knew, comparatively, but it wasn't that big of a tourist city in comparison to, like, Dubrovnik. So we get there, and nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to talk to us. And I'm asking directions. I go to the tourist help desk, and the lady hands us an Italian guide. Now, she's got English guides there. I see them. I point at one. She closes her window. Okay. Well, that's awful. What the fuck? Alright. That's confusing. But yeah, so she doesn't want to talk to us. And so she's on her phone. She's closed her window, so I can't, like, really even reach in and grab the guide. Alright. Oh, that's frustrating. But so, let's see. Anything else? Nope. So we have an Italian guide. Useful. I know. I mean, I know Spanish, so it kind of worked, and like I could kind of figure it out, but it wasn't like super useful. And I'd made a mistake the night before. So when picking up my itinerary for the next day, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put this into Google Maps so I can figure it out, because we had an iPod Touch to give us directions as we went along, which is like super janky for getting around a city, but it worked out pretty well. Thus far. Problem is, when I picked my directions up, it was 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'd forgotten to say, like, I want to know the directions for, like, 6 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Alright. Well, that was a mistake. Because we get there, and I realized partway through that the schedule we're looking at, like, we were sitting at the bus stop waiting for a specific bus. Oh. The bus is not coming. So we go back to the train station, try and flag down the lady again. Okay, lady is gone for the day. Alright. Eventually, I try and, like, find locals to, like, ask about this. No, they actually, like, you know how there's kind of the stereotype of, like, if you ask Americans for help, they'll just, like, look away and, like, walk faster? Yeah, that's what happened. Like, the only person I could find that spoke English actually told us, no, can't help you, and walked away faster. And it's like, I'm not even asking for money. Then again, I was surrounded by homeless people, so there's that. And I was actually half tempted to try and, like, pay a homeless person to give me directions, but I figured that probably wouldn't work. So eventually I figured out, you know who speaks English? The money changer speaks English. She was actually perfectly happy to give us directions. We spent 3 hours in that train station trying to figure out how to get to our hotel, which is on the other side of the city. Bit of an oversight on my side, my part there. But we make it, and then we pretty much just completely okay for the rest of the trip. And so, fun fact about Hungarian culture. They eat a lot of meat. In fact, you know how I said I like steak and potatoes? Some part of me hates steak and potatoes as a result of being there. Because they like meat, as far as I can tell. Unless I was, like, eating the food wrong, but I could not find, like, vegetarian food. And I joke about this sometimes, but I mostly eat vegetarian. Simply because that's what my family eats. So I simply could not find food that I was accustomed to eating, because it's like, alright, you know, meat is nice, but I've been having a lot of meat this entire trip. Because, as far as I can tell, Slavic countries are very heavy on the meat consumption, which totally makes sense, but it's still just like, give me, like, an apple or something, please. Like, the first night we were there, it's also a fairly religious country. They have a lot of, like, really nice cathedrals, actually. But the problem being... Ooh, sweet. Clumps of iron. The best. Problem being, nothing's open on Sunday. So if you're a tourist coming in on a Sunday, you can't find food at all. And we're also on the, like, residential side of the city. So, like, the mini-mart is closed, and the... all the restaurants are closed. There aren't really a whole lot of them around. There's not, like, McDonald's or anything like that. I think we did run into a McDonald's in Budapest, but the thing with McDonald's in Budapest is it's not, like, super fast food comparatively, I think. It was actually much more, like, it was much more, I don't know, it was good, which is crazy to say. But so... no food. Eventually we ask the, like, oh, hello. That exploded. That also exploded. That's, like, the most generic commentary I can give right there. Okay. Please don't. Please. Stop it with the explosions. I've had enough. Oh, shoot. There's a chest over here. I need to double time this. At least I got plenty of time. Sort of. What the balls? I went from full health to death. Apparently walking straight through a worm is just bad news bears. Wow. Alright, I might as well just finish the story here. I'm not going to play any more Cavern Kings. But so, we go to a restaurant in, we go to a restaurant. I look at the menu, can't understand any of it. Oh, well, you know, I'll try the Hungarian platter. Hungarian platter comes out. Goose liver. Pig. I guess, like, some kind of bacon. Steak. Fried food. All of this meat. There wasn't a single vegetable there. We also asked for Coke, and then water, which we figured out was Wasser. Problem is, apparently Hungarians drink carbonated water. Apparently it's a thing in Europe. I guess it's a thing in certain parts of the US, too. I don't know. I can't understand why anybody would drink that stuff. But, we were very thirsty by the end of that meal. Yeah, you take separate damage for each segment on the worm, and you walk from one end to the other on it. It's not a good deal. But so it's like all meat. And this is pretty much endemic for the entire trip. In Hungary, you're just constantly eating meat and potatoes. The breakfasts were good, but they were like egg and toast and stuff, which is tasty, but still. And then, like, one of the last days, we were like, alright, we're just absolutely sick of Hungarian food. And we found the single most delicious thing I had on the entire trip. The only Thai restaurant in the city. And they had absolutely amazing pad Thai. And that is the reason why pad Thai is my favorite food. God damn, I spent like half an hour telling a really, really circuitous story on why I like pad Thai. I guess Wanderbot kind of works. I'm wandering from top to Ramblebot. But... ugh. That's why I like pad Thai. I don't even remember who he asked me on that one. But yeah, that's why I wanted to tell the Budapest story. Because pad thai. Alright, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode of Cavern Kings. And as always, thanks for watching.